Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And a lot of you have recently emailed me kind of concerned about Verizon's future. And that was mainly just based on their lower end spectrum position other than the millimeter wave. You guys have seen it in one of the T-Mobile videos. Verizon right now is sitting at around 116 megahertz of spectrum compared to T-Mobile's 319, which is massively more. And one thing that I always learned about Verizon early on, they play the long-term game. So Verizon is once again working ahead of schedule. So right now, before they are getting the spectrum assets that they are interested in acquiring, they're already building it out. So I'm already seeing pictures sent in, C-band panels being installed, CBRS is being installed on cell sites, and that is a long-term strategy. So not only are they building out the panels, but they're also building the necessary site density to make that spectrum work day one. So those are some of the quotes that I've been getting, that Verizon is the company that they want that spectrum to be on their network for an increase in speed, of course, long-term, and 5G. But they also want it to be a great experience on the network day one. So, and of course, it'll all depend on the power limits that the FCC sets, but the site density in a lot of areas will be good enough for Verizon to make that spectrum work. It is a higher frequency spectrum, not anywhere close to millimeter wave, but it is a little bit higher than the 2.5 that T-Mobile has. Most of it is around 3.7 to 4.2, around there, gigahertz. And once Verizon is even more confident in the site build-outs, they're going to put that spectrum on all cell sites, and it's going to, in my opinion, give Verizon one of the biggest speed boosts and quickest that we've ever seen in the industry, besides what we may be getting ready to see on a nationwide basis from T-Mobile. We're talking, I believe, 280 megahertz of spectrum available in that auction. Then there's still some CBRS spectrum to get. And just now, as important as it is to get this mid-band spectrum, I believe Verizon is willing to throw the entire bank to get that spectrum. So if the FCC sets no restrictions, I think Verizon is going to outbid everyone on this auction, just like they did with Straight Path and XO Communications. If you guys remember, AT&T also tried to bid for that spectrum, and that did not happen. They couldn't outbid Verizon, and AT&T is kind of cash strapped. Although they have money right now, but they have debt. They have a debt ratio to look after. So they can't be spending as crazy as, say, a Verizon can, because they still have to pay down debt and they don't want to go into more debt. So that is just something that I'm seeing right now already early on. And this is still in the early stages. This has not ramped up yet. They're still doing the millimeter wave rollout where it's needed, where it's necessary. So, of course, it's not going to go everywhere. But it kind of seems that Verizon is also throwing it on a lot of cell sites over time that may make you question why Verizon is putting millimeter wave on the cell site. I'm starting to see it being added to boom sites in the middle of nowhere where there's really not a densely populated population, and they're throwing it on those cell sites. So it's going to be very expensive for Verizon, and very interesting to see how that performance weighs in on them adding it to that certain cell site, with millimeter wave not having that far of reachability as, say, mid-band and low-band. And that leads me to this article here, which I will leave in the description down below. So Verizon is publicly stating that the nationwide 5G will only be a small upgrade over 4G at first. Same that we're seeing on T-Mobile today. The N71 is performing slightly better. In some cases, it's not performing better at all. But again, this is just a race to the icon. So since T-Mobile has the icon, AT&T now has that icon. Now Verizon, using the DSS technology, they will also have the icon. And once, again, the leader, supposedly Apple, gets the 5G, that's when 5G takes off, when Apple implements it. People say it's always been that way, and it looks to be that way again. Once Apple implements the 5G, that's when 5G takes off. And But I think this is a good thing from Verizon to state that publicly. Like, look, our 5G, it's not going to be any drastically better than our 4G, so there's really no need for you to upgrade unless you go to the millimeter wave. So just keep in mind, and I'll just add this to the end of the video, just keep in mind right now, if you are a customer that's itching to get a millimeter wave device because maybe you are working a downtown area and there's a cell site nearby or a node that has it, and you think that may fix some of your congestion issues, or maybe it has. Just keep in mind that as the C-band is going to get rolled out, your device becomes pretty much obsolete because you have to upgrade to another device to make use of N77 and N78, which current phones right now don't make use of. The first phone that launched that has it is the Motorola Edge Plus, I believe. That one is like a very first device. It's exclusive to Verizon. So just keep that in mind. Don't really rush out to get a device unless you know for a fact that that's going to improve your experience in a certain area that you're in. But right now, I would say like 90 to 95% of the time, you're not going to connect to any millimeter wave unless you are literally in an area that has it rolled out. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Do you guys think Verizon comes out on top? I think so. I think they spend more. By the way, I wanted to make a comment to the comments of that video that I made about the T-Mobile spending the $60 billion. It just seemed like all the comments, from what I was reading, it seemed like they were trying to make up stuff in how T-Mobile is going to make up not spending that extra $40 billion. That's just tough. I know that the spectrum is already owned by T-Mobile, but again, all of the things that T-Mobile has to do to accomplish the goal that they set out, I think is going to require more than the $60 billion. And anything that T-Mobile is doing, Verizon and AT&T can do more just because they're spending more. They're spending $40 billion more. That's roughly 42 to 43% more money being spent in that same time frame, as I mentioned again. Both of those companies spend that $60 billion in 3 years. So let's just say, for instance, T-Mobile throws 10 cell sites along that stretch. Verizon and AT&T, they can do 10 more cell sites. It'll be a never-ending cycle because they spend more money. And another person yesterday explained it to me like this. If you are in a race, NASCAR race, and the leader is 4 laps ahead, and let's even say he's 4 laps ahead and you even maintain the same speed as him, you can't catch up. You have to go faster than him to be able to catch him. And this is kind of like the same thing. Even if T-Mobile were to spend the same amount, let's say they spend the same $100 billion, AT&T and Verizon have been spending that for 10 plus years already. So T-Mobile would have to start spending more than the $100 billion to really implement and do all the things that Verizon and AT&T are going to do and then some. So it's just, like I said, not bashing T-Mobile. It's just going to be a never-ending cycle. And in fact, I believe T-Mobile is doing it this way so they don't have to raise the rates too high after the 3 years and implement that value still, that the value proposition that they've been holding with the Un-carrier. Because if they go crazy and they do $100 billion, $110, $120 billion, the investors are going to start stepping in, and the board members are going to be like, look, if you're going to spend this, we're going to have to raise this because we need to make some return on investment on all this investing. So I just wanted to add that in there as well. It's just hard. It's just a never ending cycle that the big two are just going to be able to do more. And in fact, with their positioning, they can even spend more if they so choose to, on top of the higher amounts that they're already spending. So it's just, like I said, it's a never ending cycle. T-Mobile, they will get better. Trust me. They will be a better company. But once they start talking about AT&T and Verizon, it's getting very old because they know that they can't really compete. John has said it in a lot of interviews. Last night I sat there and I watched some of his older videos on marketing, and he said it. He's like, we can't spend as much as these guys, so we got to do other things to keep up. So, and this is kind of like the same thing. Yeah, with Sprint they got bigger, but again, they gotta spend to keep up. If they don't spend, they're just gonna be a better company, but they're still gonna trail AT&T and Verizon. So again, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end the video now. If you are new, make sure you hit the notification bell so you are notified when I upload content. Also follow my Twitter. I will post the videos on there. I've been receiving emails as early as last night. People are still telling me that YouTube is not pushing out the notifications as quickly. So make sure to follow the Twitter because I will put the videos on there as well. And this is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.